Hey everyone, welcome to
Hi,
BeerThralls
James.
Presents the Beer Protocol. Every time. I'm just going to pause from now on. I'm James. I am drinking a giant rum and coke once again because it's now snowing outside. I was going to get beer, but unfortunately it's now snowing outside.
Wait, hold on. So you're not going to have a beer because it's snowing outside?
I don't have beer in the house, so I was going to go get some this morning and then went, oh yeah, it's about time for the podcast. Walked outside and was like, it's snowing. Shit. I'll get
That's
rum.
right.
It
Be
didn't start
confronted
snowing
with
till
your
an hour ago.
inadequacies.
Or the fact
It
that my
didn't start.
person.
It
Yeah,
didn't start snowing till an hour ago. You
Oh,
have plenty of time.
Jake, what are you drinking?
Hi, I'm Jacob. It is week 2 of Robe Week. Thank you for joining us for this thrilling new chapter of Crisis
Robe Week.
Protocol.
Of laziness.
I am drinking a bit of rye whiskey, whose name I forgot.
I don't remember, and I'm Rebellion Rye.
Thank you. The
Oh, yeah, that's
Rebellion
very good
Rye.
stuff.
It's
Yeah.
nice whiskey. I like it a lot.
Hey, COVID fog wearing itself out. Awesome. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm not drinking alcohol because I'm getting over the COVID booster, and it kicked my ass.
For clarification, you got the booster. You don't actually have COVID.
Dude,
It felt like it for 24 hours. Oh my god, I thought I was gonna die. Worth it, but thought I was gonna die. So I'm drinking pineapple mango Mio.
Ooh.
Think of it like this: at least you don't have the actual disease, because that's a real good response for how bad you take it.
And he who does not have a camera.
Yes. Being your enabler, I'm actually having a pint of Enlightened Despot by Triple Crossing.
Ooh.
It's a super dark stout.
I want to find the mint chocolate chip Guinness again because that was delicious.
Nope. You said mint chocolate chip.
It was so good. Anyway,
Mint chocolate chip is a crime.
Tink.
Gentlemen.
Ow, clink.
All right.
So, yesterday we did a significant amount of research on MCU and MCP, by which I mean because Matt was not feeling well, we watched the entire Blade trilogy.
It was awesome.
Pretty much back to back.
Ryan Reynolds was so young.
He's like, oh, he's so cute.
My official review is Blade 1 is my favorite. Blade 2 is still pretty good because it's a Guillermo del Toro flick. So even if it's bad, it's going to look pretty and be interesting.
So you say that, but number 3, I believe, was Guillermo del Toro
it
as
was
well.
not. I checked.
No,
Del
it was
Toro
not.
did not hurt us that way.
Oh, okay.
It was not, but it was Dominic Purcell, who is surprisingly a good actor, despite having actually been in Prison Break.
I forgot that thing even existed.
Jessica Biel's performance was pretty good. She
Now,
was about it.
Wait for Jessica Biel.
You might be wondering what this has to do with today's model, Baron Mordo. And the
Absolutely
truth is
nothing.
Yeah.
But we have MCP on the brain, and we are going to discuss another member of, technically he is a convocation model, so he will work with the rest of convocation. I believe he is also
Cabal.
a Cabal.
He's a Cabal.
Carl Amadeus Mordo.
So this came about when I was building a list for a tournament in like March.
Wait, hold on.
Cabal
Convocation. We've been talking about Blade. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it's don't worry. So I texted him with, "Hey, I'm thinking about bringing Baron Mordo in my
I just want to talk about Blade, okay?
In my
that was a different episode.
Syndicate / Spider Foes list." And I was like, I'm not sure how he's going to fit. We should talk about him on Sunday. So
wait. James, is this another one of those I'm going to play in hard mode events for you?
It's always we're going to play in hard
mode. It's always I'm playing in hard mode.
So Baron Mordo has 6 stamina. He is a medium move. He is size 2, threat 3. He has 2 physical defense, 4 energy defense, and 4 mystic defense. So once again, we see the convocation model of very low physical defense. These boys, they all squishy. They skip their Wheaties. But Baron Mordo does have a slight deviation as the 2, 3, 4s that we might be expecting to see from other convocation models with a very solid energy defense of 4. So Mordo is pretty defendable for everything but physical, without any other abilities going forward.
But
So
he's also
bear
got
that in
pretty
mind.
good. He's got pretty good ranges, so he shouldn't be like within 2 or 3 of a lot of things. So
No, boy getting pegged. I think you forget how many large bases there are with range 3 physical attacks.
And
there's
throws.
a lot of throws.
And
Oh
also,
God,
don't
throws.
forget. Okay, anyway, let's get talking. His first attack, all of his attacks are mystic. We'll get that out of the way. Mystical, Staff of the Living Tribunal, range 3. 4 dice, 0 cost. After the attack is resolved, the character gains power equal to damage dealt, standard power builder. On a wild, push. If the target character is size 2 or less before damage is dealt, push it away.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a wild attack. The fact that it's mystic is interesting. 4 dice and a damage-based builder is not super encouraging. Like I'm more. It works. Sometimes it'll spike. You could probably expect 1 or 2 damage and/or power off it against things that don't have incredible mystical defenses. But more and more, as we've seen with some of the recent models, as well as some of the future models, having a flat power builder on 4 dice seems to be about as consistent, and you don't have to worry about it.
I still don't mind. A lot of his powers are like in the 2 range, so even if you get 1 damage in there, you're pretty good.
Okay. Speaking of, the Bolts of Bishru, range 4, 4 dice, 0 cost. After this attack is resolved, this character gains 1 power. And on a wild, Hex. After this attack is resolved, the target character gains the Hex special condition. So if I'm being perfectly honest, I think Baron Mordo's default attack in most circumstances is
Mhm.
Bolts.
Mhm.
4 dice is not enough. I feel like you're going to spike often enough to make up the power gain. A flat power, no matter what happens, is great. And Hex can come up and be surprisingly hard for certain characters to get around. Hex, as a quick reminder, sets it up so character does not roll additional dice for their critical results during attack, defense, or dodge.
Yeah.
Now the crit itself still counts as a success, but it does not generate additional dice. Hex is a solid status condition. Like MCP has hit like a pretty good balance where most status conditions are irritating, but not so bad that you want to spend an action to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely seems to be the design philosophy, because if status conditions were always bad enough that you'd spend the action to get rid of them, that means every status condition is stagger.
Yeah.
And that takes away from a lot of the stuff that does do stagger and forces you to shake. Hex is a good example. All right.
I really like next one.
The Reigns of Ragador. Range 4, 7 dice mystic, 4 cost. Burning Rain, not a wild, guaranteed. After this attack is resolved, the target character gains the Incinerate and Poison special condition. This is actually a really solid spender for a support-oriented character, which, as we'll see in his powers, Mordo is.
Yep.
This is absolutely the kind of thing that I feel like you just keep in your back pocket. If you can, just sneak in to get into 4 power in a given turn, which, as we'll see in a moment, you could potentially do round 2. You open with this, set someone up to be smacked down with the Incinerate, and the Poison is a nice rider, but there's stuff that Mordo can do with that, which we'll see in a bit. All right, on to his super. So overall attack profile before moving on to superpowers. Mordo has a solid option when stuff's close to him or when you want to try to push things off a point with Staff of the Living Tribunal. I feel like Mordo himself is a large base, as a note. He is a bigger than normal base size. So
He is?
his range
He is.
3 is pretty decent.
Really?
Even
He's a
better,
large base? That's wild.
it's because he's got a big aerial effect.
Huh.
So Mordo's ranges are pretty big. A large base medium mover means he can cover a lot of ground. Being a large base character with lots of attacks at range 4 means that he can really, I think in a lot of scenarios, he can contest one and attack the other.
Mhm.
So worth keeping in mind that Mordo is probably a really solid contender for board presence with his base size and ranges. So fire off bolts all day long. You're likely going to have targets most rounds of the game without having to move too much.
Yeah.
All right. First superpower, Master of the Occult. As an action, 0 cost. As an action, this character gains 2 power. This superpower can only be used once per turn. given the amount of support stuff Mordo can do, we'll see more in a bit. Similar to what we talked about with last week, where Clea's action power gain had some risk attached to it, but it guaranteed that she could do one of her superpowers every turn or her spender without too much effort. Mordo's is, of course, with no downside, a lot safer, but it's only 2 power. However, just like with Clea, that 2 power is enough to guarantee he can use any of his other superpowers this turn, and potentially even spend the action for the 2 power, use bolts for a guaranteed power, and that he'd have enough banked for 2 of his superpowers consistently every turn. It's a solid option.
Or reigns if you want to actually, if you need to kill something or bounce something off it,
The round 2 reigns play, I think, would be round 1. You advance Mordo once, and then use Master of the Occult to guarantee he's sitting on 4 power and a Reigns of Ragador on the top of round 2.
Considering that his most of his other power, one of his other powers, which we'll get to, is actually on your allied character turn, so you can actually spend power on your other people's turns.
Yep. All right, let's talk about it. Next up is Soulbarb. For 2 cost, an enemy character within range 3 of this character with 1 or more of the following special conditions: Hex, Incinerate, Poison, Slow. Choose one of those conditions, and then every enemy character within range 2 of the chosen character gains the chosen special condition. This is potentially one of the easiest ways to spread status conditions that have been released in the whole game. I think for a lot of people, Soulbarb is what they immediately saw when looking at Mordo, and they're just like, this is his job.
Considering he passes out Hex, Incinerate, and Poison on his card.
Like candy.
This ability by itself, I think, makes Baron Mordo really, really splashable. If you have a particular setup that would like to have certain conditions, like Poison with Omega Red, I think is the immediate thought a lot of people had. This can really help out a lot. You can usually find a use for this, I think, on points when people are clustering up, once the scrum has started, or if you have characters that can bring people together. Carnage might be a good example as well, because Carnage has his abilities to yank people to a cluster. Carnage himself doesn't play into this, but if they're clustered up, it's relatively easy for the Baron on his turn to use Reigns of Ragador into Soulbarb if he has a ton of power, or just Bolts of Bishru and hope for Hex and spread Hex around. Also makes him an interesting pairing with Scarlet Witch, who says you cannot shake many of these same conditions if you're within 3 of her.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Oh, yeah.
So it does have to be an enemy character within range 3. So you cannot use one of your allies in their status conditions to spread their pain to everyone else. It's a super interesting ability. It's definitely always got to be under consideration on a given Baron Mordo activation. Is there someone who could use a status condition that doesn't already have it? Incinerate, out of all of those, is probably the money.
Yeah.
You can splash Incinerate to a group of people.
Lower all the defenses. Pretty much, yeah, that's what I was actually looking at doing, was passing out the Incinerate.
And there's
Things we're
probably
really fantastic models.
I mean, also, if I can get slow on, say, like Spider Friends, Web Warriors,
Web Warriors, but go on.
If I can get slow passed out like candy on you fast motherfuckers, I would love to have that.
Yeah,
Do you have a way to hand out slow?
I don't yet, but I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, yeah, it looks like you're trying to bring other put her in to support other things, which might be tricky. I mean, sure, you can do wild and exciting things.
Let's finish the card and then
yeah.
His next ability, Ferocity of Sidorak, costs 2. When another allied character within range 3 of this character targets an enemy with an attack, this character can use the superpower. The attacking character adds 2 dice to their attack roll. After this attack is resolved, the attacking character suffers a damage. This superpower can be used only once per turn. So at the cost of 1 health on a friendly model, you can essentially give them a Friday AI the new Iron Man Friday AI to add 2 dice. I don't know why I'm referencing that ability. Anyway,
It's actually
2
because
dice
that's what it
for 1
does.
health. 2 dice for 1 health and 1 power is a pretty good trade. Having the ability to add it when you need it or when you decide you want it is potentially really strong. Soulbarb
per
is the kind
turn.
of ability. Excuse me. I think Soulbarb is the fun ability that makes everyone go, ooh, list building could be cute. Ferocity of Sidorak, I think, is the real reason you're going to splash Mordo in a lot of affiliated and unaffiliated lists, is having a Thanos-like damage buff on a stick for 3 threat instead of 6, or having Baron who can actually throw out good effects and good damage instead of taking Lockjaw for his damage buff.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Because if you're taking Lockjaw for the damage buff at the same threat level, you could take the Baron. You're going to lose out on teleport shenanigans and on Lockjaw's last second rescue card. But Baron Mordo has a pretty good attack profile on his own, and it can do some other shenanigans as well. Finally, the Vaulting Boots of Valtor, 2 power. After this character is pushed, it can use the superpower. After the effect is resolved, this character advances short. This is incredibly niche, but it's cute. Like this is one of the fluffiest abilities of the whole game, I feel like, where it's just like, yeah, he jumped around like a lunatic in the Doctor Strange MCU movie. His model is referencing that he can jump in midair. Baron Mordo has double jump.
He has triple jump, actually.
So let's give him an ability to reference that. The fact that he can move around.
And
this
flight.
is not
And he has flight.
Oh, and flight. This is not something you would keep power for, I think. Like,
Mm,
oh, I better keep 2 power up so I can use vaulting boots. Like, if it was a choice between vaulting boots and ferocity, But
So-
if you get decked in the face and your opponent gets to push you after the attack is resolved, so you've gained 2 power from getting decked in the face, sure. Use that to push yourself, to advance yourself back onto a point they pushed you off of, and make Wakanda and a variety of other things pretty sad. Now, this is specifically after you're pushed, so not placed and not advanced.
And also, you need to watch the timing on it because there's a lot of things that says push, then do damage. So you're going to be pushed, you can move back, and then you're taking the damage, which means you won't get the power.
Yep. So apply timing as makes sense.
Wait, I don't understand that.
So there's a couple of things that say after the attack is resolved, push this character. There's a couple of attacks that say push the character before damage is resolved. So you have to watch the timing of where
One
you have to do it.
I think would be Moon Knight's Spender. I'll look it up real quick. But I think Moon Knight Spender places him within a certain distance after he pushes you, but it's before damage is resolved.
So let me explain. If you read it, it says after this character is pushed. So you won't have if you get pushed and then get damaged, you don't have the power from the damage on the initial push.
But you still get the power
afterwards. You still get the power afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I understand. I misunderstood you. Never mind. Continue.
A specific example would be Moon Knight's avatar, where if the target character is size 2 or less, before damage is dealt, it can be pushed away.
Yep.
Right.
No, I get it now. I misunderstood what you guys were talking about.
So the way this reads, now I'll have to probably ask the question of, so if I'm pushed, at what point after am I pushed can I then spend the power and move? Because it says
after the push.
It says after this character is pushed.
After the effect is resolved.
Okay.
So whatever effect triggered it.
Yeah.
Then use this.
Okay.
So if it was an attack and that effect of that attack triggered it, you may have to wait till the entire attack is done.
That's what I'm
then
curious.
You can spend to move. This is absolutely the kind of thing you could just work out with your opponent and be like, hey, I'm pretty sure this is the window for it. I don't think this is going to be such a big deal that people are going to fight you on the timing of this.
It might, and I'll explain why.
I was just saying, I think it could be because depending on when you get the power, it's going to be very dependent on when they're going to let you do it.
His damage side is the same.
Woohoo! One less stamina.
Oh, sorry, he's one less stamina. He's a little squishier. Now,
all right. Let's. I want to talk about tactic cards real quick.
Oh yeah.
Because we need to once again look at tactic cards. Okay, so Mordo and Ancient One come with 3 more convocation-specific tactic cards. So for this conversation, the reason I wanted to look it up Mordo does not come with any interesting tactic cards if he's not in Convocation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to splash Mordo, he does not come with any tactic cards like Gambit does, for example,
Correct.
that are relevant. So just looking at just the model, we'll now talk about splashing him, and then we'll double back to his Convocation specific tactic cards. I just wanted to verify there was no other consideration for where he should go.
All right. Stop swimming.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
No.
Let's say your green screen moved, Jake. Just letting you know.
That's
my
fine.
room.
It's
Yeah,
it's
your
this
green
it's
screen did
this
shift.
it's the sanctum. It's allowed to move like that.
Okay. I alluded to it earlier. I think Soulbarb is a fun ability to try to figure out list building with. I think Ferocity of Sidorak, just having damage on a stick for 2 cost on a character that can pretty reliably build that up, turn in and turn out. Because even Thanos sometimes struggles. Like, Thanos without gems cannot be relied on for damage buffs.
No.
Mordo by himself, either using Master of the Occult as an action or just firing off 2 bolts for that guaranteed 2 power, is going to have at least 1 damage buff ready.
You want to know what I thought? And this is why I'm debating. This is why I am leaning heavily towards bringing him in my list.
One thing I'll point out, Baron Mordo is a Cabal model.
He is a Cabal model.
So
It's
if you
the
take him
Cabal.
with Red Skull,
Ooh.
and then Red Skull gives him 1 power every time he damages, and Bolts is already giving him 1 already, that's potentially 2 power per attack. That's a lot of
That's a
extra
lot of
damage
power.
for Cabal. That's a lot of extra damage he can hand out.
So I originally saw the Soulbarbs and was like, oh, I could pass out some Incinerate. That's actually pretty nice. It was the Ferocity that I saw and was like, wait, Lizard has an ability to do an area effect attack with one of his cards.
Mhm.
And he also heals himself for 1 at the end of it anyway.
Mhm.
Carnage has an area effect.
What I'll point out is I don't think you would have to spend for each target of the AoE attack. Because it says when they target enemy character with an attack, and each individual attack as part of a beam or area is a separate attack.
Is it a separate attack?
Yes.
That
You have
kind
to
of
spend separately. You do not get a massive damage buff for AoEs with these abilities.
Still, him with Hawkeye, Bullseye, with
Viper, Enchantress.
God, like there's so many things that
Anybody?
Pretty much.
giving him a
He
Lextra.
buffs other people.
Yeah.
He's support in a special way.
We've knocked Convocation models a little bit for being kind of niche. So far, Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange is just a good beat stick with strong defensive abilities. I think he's going to be generally great at a lot of things, including if you want to use him in Defenders for whatever reason. Mordo, I think, is going to be a generically good support in almost any list he finds himself. He has large base and medium move, so he's fairly mobile. He can cover a lot of ground. He's got good ranges on his large base, where he can affect a lot of the board without having to move, which gives him more chances, even with his 4 dice attacks, to throw out random damage. And the damage buff is universally applicable everywhere, especially if you have people with fast healing.
Yeah.
Like Sabretooth does not give a single crap.
I was
the
actually
damage is dealt.
I mean, go
ahead.
I was actually thinking like with stuff like Venom, because we all love Venom. He has that. Oh, you hit me, I get to attack you back. I believe it's a card.
Venom has lethal protector.
You literally like, oh, I attacked Baron Mordo. Venom jumps in, takes the hit, immediately attacks back, and the Baron goes, "Yeah, have a little extra 2 here. Just sprinkle that on."
Yep.
Not only are you attacking out, now you're attacking outside of your activation, but now you're also adding outside of your activation.
Yeah, no, I'm seriously thinking about picking up Baron Mordo to bring an X-Force, because 2 of my main characters, my beat sticks, both have heal myself at the end of all of their turns. Well, three of them technically. So he's just gonna go here, hit harder. Fucking Deadpool with this will kick some ass.
Mordo is, I think, probably going to be appearing in a lot of lists because he, like I said, he's self-contained.
Give it to
He
Bob.
generates enough power to use his effects without needing support. Like some support models themselves need a little help from their affiliation bonus or from a specific rule. Mordo, I think, is probably good. Like he's just going to go out there and do his thing.
He is. If you have, so first off, I'm really considering. I'm splashing him in my syndicate because of the I can bounce back short if I get pushed off the point. I really like that because I have a problem with the Web Warriors, where they're just like, or even friggin' Wakanda.
I hate to be the one to tell you this, but that won't trigger from the Web Warrior leadership ability that moves you range 1 off a point.
Yeah, it's a place.
It's a place, Sant.
But good thinking, James. We're proud of you.
I'm actually thinking more of the pulls and shit too, with the like venom and stuff.
Also, wouldn't trigger off a pull.
It's not a push.
Technically, there's no pulls. It's a push towards.
Actually, it's true. They do say push towards, so it is still a push.
Yeah, we should not be using the word pull. It's a push towards, which is actually pretty good because it goes, "Hey, I'm gonna push you towards me so I can do more damage to you and like do more attacks against you." And he's like, "No, screw that."
That's pretty good.
But yeah, no, I think he is going to be if you're not running a specific solid list and you need some mystic attacks in there, you need some moving around shenanigans, you need a little bit of a buffer in there, really consider throwing him in a 3-point slot. I want to see how he plays in Spire Foes. I just want to see because I have Mysterio, but Mysterio is kind of I shuffle people around. I do weird things. If I want a solid beat stick or something like, if I'm going as Black Order, Mysterio gets pulled out, Mordo gets put in.
Interesting. Okay. Mordo does have a big weakness.
Physical.
2 physical defense with no buffs or increases on his card, or no special defensive gimmicks other than distance. And as I mentioned earlier, there's plenty of large bases with range 3 physical attacks.
God, if we only had an Okoye to walk him down the field.
If only. So that just be cautious as well. I think you're going to see the meta change a little bit over time as more and more, with Convocation, Dormammu, and whatever's coming next, we're going to stop having nothing but physical attacks for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But physical is still the most common damage type. So just be cautious. If at all possible, force your opponent to use energy at range if they have ranged projectiles, or just play keep away.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this model. I do believe this is.
Mordo come with? Oh, sorry.
Ancient one.
Oh.
Which is also another good model.
Mordo himself is actually a fun sculpt. Like, I feel like you held it up earlier. I'll just point out, I actually really like Mordo's sculpt.
He's a little wobbly, but
you got to be careful with him.
He's got that weird. Like I really wish they would get away with the whole like we're balancing things on small little pieces.
They haven't. Did you see those ninjas?
I know, God. But like
and Blade.
I'm not sure. Like no, this is actually like it's pretty wobbly.
Well, just don't touch it during your game.
Assembly was kind of not
finicky.
Fun. Yeah,
okay, you have problems assembling anything.
No,
this give you problems.
It's all those like little tiny pegs. Like, what do you do with the pegs?
Do you remember when we watched James assemble that IKEA furniture?
Listen, there was only a few tiers.
It's IKEA furniture.
Hey, look at the time. We're almost time. Oh, look, we're out of time. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Oh, no, wait, stop. Tactics.
Oh, God.
I want to talk about tactics real quick, because we're going to talk about them either now or with Ancient One.
Go for it.
Astro Ring.
You broke up. You broke up. Go ahead.
Astral Ring. At the start of a Convocation model's activation, it could spend 2 power to play this card. Separate this out into a separate video if you want. I don't care. Place a projection token within range 3 of this character. When measuring ranges of this character's attacks or superpowers, measure for the projection instead. This character does not contest tokens normally. Instead, the projection token contests all objectives as if it was this character.
Wait, is this Convocation only?
Convocation.
Convocation.
While the projection's in play, this character cannot advance or be placed. Remove the projection token during the next cleanup phase. So, a couple things about this. This card is super fascinating, and I don't know where to use it. With Mordo himself, hey, do you want to use all of Mordo's support abilities for a round further up the table, but do you not want to actually put him in danger at all? Projection. It's worth noting that your opponent cannot interact with the projection token at all. The projection token that actually contests for you cannot be pushed, placed, targeted, bleh. So they have to go after wherever your physical body is to stop you from contesting an objective for a turn, which is probably nowhere near that objective.
God, that's so good. That's the only Convocation, because if that was in friggin'
everything, then Mordo
everything
would be
else,
in every
like
list.
just
That's why, James.
It's super interesting for only 2 power.
That's really good.
So I think this is definitely a contender for considering if you're going to run with Convocation. Maybe, especially now, it is worth noting you cannot move after you play it, so you need to be in position for where you want to be for the round.
Yeah, still that's fine. Still
being the best solution of throw something at them.
You literally, but the thing is, you also count as a contesting model. So you have 2 contesting models. You don't count as test.
No, like, the host body no longer contests.
I was about to say, because like you can do like gamma shelters, you can be like on one point and have a projector on another point. But yeah, that's still pretty nice. Getting them, like, if you're sitting on the middle point and you can project to the back point. Yeah.
Yep. Your opponent now has to deal with that, especially because once the token is out, you don't have to be within 3 of it anymore.
Oh, it's so even better if like you have like you're sitting on the middle point and you have like Quicksilver who just runs to the back point real quick and you have no one there. You just kind of go bloop, and just throw yourself back there.
Granted, they can still beat the crap out of you and knock you out, and it won't contest because you still have to be
alive,
conscious.
Yeah, still, but yeah.
All right, Bane of Dambala. After an attack made by an allied Convocation character is resolved, if the attack roll contained 1 or more hits or wilds, you can spend 1. The target character and all enemies within range 2 gain the root special condition.
Ooh. Wow, just give them all the effects.
Basically, yeah, spend 1, give everyone root as a tactic card, assuming you got a wild or a success in your attack roll. It's situational,
but likely.
It's also kind of a good game changer.
Yep. Can Mordo spread root?
No.
No.
You only slow. Yeah, if it passed out slow.
But he's already passed out slow, and then you suddenly have root. Hey, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
All right. The Orb of Agamotto. Any number of Convocation characters not holding an objective can spend 3 each. Characters that spent power are placed within range 3 of their current location.
Holy shit.
It's expensive, though.
It is expensive. It's very expensive, but it's very strong. It's Avengers Assemble on steroids, aka let's just reposition the whole board.
But even if you're not going for like hammers or something where you're not picking up objectives, or it's a single objective, like the witness, you literally could take multiple points at the end of a round by just going, I'm gonna play this card. I got the power.
Yeah. And you completely change up what your opponent had projected. It could potentially be a big swing in your favor. If you just move 2 people who didn't make it to a point onto a point, outnumber whoever has it.
Reposition if you already lost the point to gain and not gain one someplace else. Do anything.
Put somebody back somewhere. Hey, look, Clea didn't do her job.
So it's at the power turn, or is this any time?
It's an active card, so it has to be during one of your turns.
You could do
But
this on
there's no other restriction.
You could literally do this in the first activation and just.
You could do this on the
Oh
last
my God.
activation.
If you somehow have activation. I thought you said first round. You still need 3 power. So
Yeah,
all the
everybody-
models.
Yeah.
Starting with 3, that's pretty impressive.
Still.
Do
This
this
is not
last
a round
activation.
1 play. I think the reason this is so expensive is because almost every model in Convocation with a round 1 opening range 3 teleport would grab all of the objectives before
Yeah.
your opponent could do anything.
Mhm.
And so it's expensive. Like Doctor Strange could teleport, I guess.
Oh, you could be such a cheesy bastard. So basically, you have Mordo up front on turn 1. He uses his power to get now 2 extra power, so he has 3 power. You spend the card, spend 3 power, jump him forward, grab the objective, move back.
You could do all that, yes.
It's real cheeky.
You waste a card, but
Yeah.
that is a turn 1 grab the objective and run.
So those are the tactic cards that for all of Convocation that come with Mordo and Ancient One. All of Convocation's tactic cards have been strong.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah.
But it really seems like that is their power. Are their
Yeah.
cards?
Spells, who would have guessed?
Yeah, I know.
He's also got flight. My God, he's got flight. That's also another thing I needed.
Okay, I can. About the only other thing I could think of is internal Convocation synergy with Clea teleporting Mordo around, so he doesn't have to move and he can focus on building his power base and using his support abilities.
Or
Another good reason to
moving
keep
away,
Clea.
moving out of risk. And
See, another
suddenly
good-
you're projected Mordo.
Similar with Doctor Strange's scalpel, is you in Convocation you actually have some ways to teleport Mordo around without using a tactic card, so he can just turn it up and be your support buddy.
I really want somebody to play this against me because I really want to see how Convocation kind of does their interlocking gears.
Well, you could practice, one day against Jake's Convocation
Yeah,
army.
that is true. Thursday.
No, not
Maybe.
Thursday.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Crisis Protocol, talking about one of our new favorite splash models, Baron Mordo. Any final thoughts, John?
Take them.
I unfortunately now have to own an ancient one.
Yep. Just remember, when trying to attach the head of the ancient one, make sure you're over top of something. So when her head goes flying off into the ether, you don't have to replace it with the other head.
Oh, you're silly. You think I'm gonna put that together? I don't want a Convocation list.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. We're gonna go play some games now.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Game off.